Every night, as the city lights dimmed and silence fell over the grand mansion of billionaire widower Charles Whitmore, the muffled sobs of two young children echoed through the vast hallways. The mansion had everything money could buy. Chandeliers from Italy, walls lined with art. A private theater, but it couldn't silence the pain of loss. No nanny, no therapist, no expensive distraction could stop Amelia and Jack from crying themselves to sleep since their mother passed. And then one night, their quiet, unseen maid, who never dared to speak much, did something no one expected. Something so simple yet so powerful. It changed everything and left their father frozen in his tracks. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe our channel for more real-life inspired emotional stories. Charles Whitmore had built empires from nothing. A man once born in poverty now stood at the top of the corporate world. But wealth, no matter how immense, could not protect him from tragedy. His wife, Emily, the only woman he'd ever loved, passed away from a sudden aneurysm just 6 months prior. Since then, their once lively mansion had turned cold, its corridors haunted by silence and the echo of childhood weeping. 8-year-old Amelia stopped drawing. Her spark had dimmed. 6-year-old Jack clutched a photo of his mom every night, whispering her name until sleep silenced him. The loss broke them in ways their father couldn't see, because he was broken too. He buried himself in boardrooms and billion-dollar mergers, avoiding the empty chair at the dinner table, the quiet rooms upstairs, and most of all their eyes. He tried to help. Therapists came and went. Tutors and nannies rotated weekly. But none could penetrate the sadness. At night the house would grow still, and then the sobbing would begin. First Amelia, then Jack. Until both cried themselves hoarse, the staff tried their best. But there was one person who heard the cries most deeply, the maid Rosa. Rosa was 27, soft-spoken, and had only been working in the Whitmore estate for 2 months. An immigrant who had grown up taking care of her younger siblings while her parents worked. Rosa understood pain. She had lost her own baby brother in a fire back home. Maybe that's why the sound of Amelia and Jack crying tore through her heart like claws. At first, she stayed quiet, just did her job, cleaned the rooms, folded the clothes, and vanished into the background. But every night, she'd pause outside their doors, listening, her hands trembling. She wanted to help. She needed to help. But who was she? Just a maid invisible in their world of polished silver and silent suffering. Until one night she couldn't stay silent anymore. It was a rainy Tuesday night when Rosa finally stepped into their world. She had just finished mopping the kitchen floor when the sound of sobbing returned, louder than before, echoing from the hallway. She crept upstairs, her bare feet soft against the marble. Standing outside Jack's door, she saw the little boy curled on the floor, clutching a blanket, tears streaking his cheeks. Amelia sat beside him, her tiny frame shaking. They didn't notice Rosa at first, but when she gently pushed the door open, Amelia looked up. Their eyes met, hers full of fear, Rosa's full of something warmer. Without asking, Rosa walked in, no permission, no role to justify it, she just acted. She sat on the rug beside them and began to hum. It wasn't English, it wasn't even words, it was a lullaby, one passed down by her grandmother in a faraway village. The melody was soft, ancient, aching, and somehow it made the sobbing slow, then still. Jack lifted his head. Amelia wiped her tears. That song, Amelia whispered. It sounds like Mommy used to hum. Rosa swallowed the lump in her throat. It's a song for hearts that hurt, she said softly. That night she stayed. She told them stories, not fairy tales, but real ones, of courage, of siblings who held each other when the world crumbled, of how she used to rock her baby brother to sleep when the nights got too loud. For the first time in months, the children slept peacefully. Rosa sat between their beds until morning, humming. From then on, it became a quiet ritual. Every night, she'd slip in, read to them, hum, stay with them. The kids stopped crying. They started drawing again, laughing, eating more. Something shifted, and Charles, he noticed. At first, he didn't know why. Just that they seemed lighter. Then one evening, he returned early from a meeting and passed by their room. He paused. Inside, he heard Rosa's voice, gentle, patient, loving. She's not a maid to them, he murmured. He peeked through the slightly open door and froze. His daughter was asleep with her hand wrapped around Rosa's arm. Jack lay beside them on the carpet, smiling in his sleep. Rosa sat with her back against the wall, her head tilted, softly humming that same lullaby. Something broke in Charles in that moment, not from pain but realization. He had everything, yet gave his children nothing they truly needed. The next morning, Charles invited Rosa to the garden. It was the first time he truly saw her, not just as a maid, but as a human. "You've done something no one else could," he said quietly. "You brought them back to life." Rosa shook her head. "I didn't do anything magical, sir. I just saw their pain, and I stayed." He looked away, guilt rising in his chest. "I haven't been here. Not really. I thought if I just fixed things on the surface, maybe it would heal." "They didn't need fixing," Rosa said gently. "They needed holding." That sentence stayed with him. From that day forward, Charles made changes. Real ones. He started having breakfast with his children, even if he didn't touch the food. He canceled trips just to be home for bedtime. He tried to learn the lullaby. He cried the first time he managed to hum it without choking, and Rosa, she became more than a maid. She became family. One night, after the kids had gone to sleep, Charles stood in the hallway, watching Rosa pack away some books. "Would you ever consider staying?" he asked suddenly. She turned. "I already stay every night." "No," he said. "I mean staying as part of this family, not as a maid, as someone they trust, someone I trust." Her eyes widened. "You don't need to do that. You're not just anything." He cut her off. "You saved them. And me." With quiet dignity, Rosa accepted, not out of pity but love. Real found family love. Years later, when people asked Amelia and Jack how they healed after their mother's death, they never said therapy or toys or money. They always answered the same way: a maid who sang a lullaby, and a father who finally listened. Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness, sitting beside someone, holding their hand, singing an old song, are what truly save people. It's not always grand gestures or wealth that heal broken hearts. It's presence, it's love, and it often comes from the most unexpected places.